There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this category. I took a bit of a break from the Saint because speedrun is very difficult. But now we're back. This time with a handful of different strategies that are probably faster, but also probably more annoying, as it usually is. So yeah, just, let me know if everything's working well, the stream. Yeah, let's just get started. I did do a practice run off stream with no creatures enabled, mostly. It doesn't work in Sonic Construct. There's still creatures there for some reason. For the most part, no creatures. And I got a 53:30. 53 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's like a really good time. But, with no creatures, it's not really realistic. So I basically just got to run through every area without having to worry about any RNG or anything creatures getting in the way. But that also tells me that creatures alone lose like that much time. It's pretty crazy. Well, I still made mistakes, of course, so that can be improved. What's the best Rainworld song in the OSC? You actually just heard it. In my opinion. The one at the start of, Why do I have a Karma Flower effect? Did I eat a Karma Flower? Hello? The Karma Flower is still here. Oh, is it because I slept in the room with the Karma Flower? And it like counted as me automatically eating it? That's strange. Doesn't really affect the run though. That's great. I'm still not great at the movement at this game in general. They like waterfront facility, that theme. I don't understand why people like that. It's like kind of the same, like it's just shoreline threat theme, but slightly different. Like it's pretty good, I guess. I don't even know what I tried to do there. Now, I don't have splits. That's because I forgot, but also, like, I don't really care too much about having splits. Sometimes they can be a little bit stressful because if you're, like, on good pace, you feel a bit pressured to, like, keep it up and not make any mistakes, which probably just makes you more likely to make mistakes. And it's also kind of like, it's not great to see when you're like way behind. It's like really demotivating. When you're like halfway through speedrun, it's like minus 20 seconds. It's like, well, should I really continue with this with all my effort? Because I'm already behind a lot. Of course, you should continue. But it's just, unless you're constantly ahead of your previous time. It also can be demotivating because you're constantly comparing against your past runs, which may be a lot better, or at least one like really good run. But obviously, with the splits, you're going to be comparing against your previous best time. So if you can't like match up to that, it feels like you haven't really improved. Too high up there. Kind of Survivor speedrunning. So I got 2 really good times because I did 2 categories. I did any percent and outer expanse percent. That sounds like a stupid category name every time I say it. The ending where you go to outer expanse as Survivor. And I got really good times, but I realized that I had a remix setting on that, the one that disabled the gate karma requirements. And I have a feeling that having that option on invalidates the runs. And so I did runs after changing that setting, after I realized, and those runs weren't as good as the original ones. Okay, that's not great. I mean, maybe they would still be verified because I always had enough karma to go through the gates because I had like planned out where to get where to karma cache. You know, I never entered a gate without enough karma if I didn't have that remix setting on. It's wonderful. Whenever you grab a yeek and then there's another one that you could have just waited for. Yeeks in this area are probably or another like big RNG part of the run. Sometimes the yeeks just aren't there and you have to spend a long time trying to get one. There's an alternative strategy that is much more consistent but probably slower compared to the ideal yeek strat. Also, they just do things like that where they don't give you the extra jump height. Like, thank you a lot for being very consistent. But for the Survivor runs, you know, even if I could get them verified anyway, despite having the wrong remix setting on, since it didn't influence the run, I kind of don't care about submitting it anyway. Sometimes I kind of just don't care about submitting runs to the leaderboards. Like I don't really care if I'm the one who has like world record. It's like, hey guys, look, I'm so good at this game. I did the speedrun really well. Like I don't really care about that. So sometimes I feel like going through the effort of submitting a run just isn't really worth it. Sometimes I did care a lot earlier in like speedrunning Downpour. Like with the Rivulet runs, I really wanted to submit those because there hadn't really been any other good Rivulet runs. Like they were good runs, but like I tried to really optimize it as much as I possibly could. So I feel like it was something that was worth submitting because people who wanted to speedrun Rivulet themselves would have some like reference to look at if they wanted to run the category themselves. But a lot of other categories that I've been trying have already been done by other players who have also done the runs very well. Probably better than I have done them. Spearmaster, Artificer, Saint now. There's like already pretty good runs out there, and pretty much all of the Survivor categories have been fairly optimized, so there's not as much value for me like submitting those runs. It's more just like a personal thing of like I want to try out this category and I want to see how well I can do it. I don't really care too much about like comparing like on the leaderboards. That's probably the best I've done that. There's a yeek in this, or before I get to the shelter, I'm gonna try to grab it. This one right there. Okay, no, don't bother with that. It's a little bit of RNG in trying to grab the yeek on the way to the farm raid's echo. But also, if you bring the gooey ducks into the shelter, you save time by eating them here, so... I don't know which one's better. So if I brought a yeek in here, then I wouldn't have to spend extra time getting one. But also, going through that room with a yeek is kind of slow. SS are in Chini Canopy? I don't know what that means. I hate when I do that. Spitter spiders? Oh yeah, there are. Honestly, spitter spiders aren't really that big of a problem. Even if they, like, hit you with the darts, then it, you know, that's just your time to go up and attack them. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I have to go over here to grab a yeek now. And then that happens. Spitter spiders are usually more dangerous when you don't even want to engage with them at all. Just trying to get through an area quickly and you get sniped. I mean, we're entering an area right here where there are a bunch of spitter spiders. So let's see how this goes. I don't see any down there, which means they're over here. That's a lot of fun. Yep, that's all of them. Just hanging out. Once this guy passes, I can head on through. As long as the spitter spider here doesn't move up. They didn't. That's good. Oh, you're asking me about Hunter? I do not play Hunter that much. And also, you're speaking in a language I don't understand. Everyone likes to use, well, not everyone, of course, but a lot of people like to use those, like, abbreviations for the region names, but I can never learn them. And they don't even line up with the actual names. Industrial complex is HI for, like, heavy industrial, I think. Yeah, I mean, that's one that I know, but this industrial is a super common region. But for others, like, I do not know them. But I also understand, yeah, it makes sense to use abbreviations because you're, like, talking about, like, a route between a bunch of different regions. Yeah, like, take forever to type out. And also, I'm partially focusing on the speedrun, so... Okay. So that's, like, for the beginning of the run, you go Do you go up or do you go down, essentially? I feel like Outskirts, this just kind of sucks. I mean, as Hunter. And then, like, the way over to Outskirts isn't great either. But I guess you could get the Echo along the way. I think I prefer the... Thing is that, I mean, I know my preferences. I don't know how you feel about it, so I don't know if I should be the one deciding. Especially since I don't have too much experience with Hunter, but I think I usually prefer the Sky Islands route. Like, it doesn't matter too much if it's harder because it's at the beginning of the run anyway. Also, I don't really know what you're doing. Unless you said that and I didn't notice. Say Sky Islands. That's fair. I find it funny when people talk about Sky Islands and they complain about needing a Squidcada. But pretty much every jump in Sky Islands that would require a Squidcada actually doesn't at all. If you know how to do some movement. I'm gonna take a gamble here and just move. And hopefully the mole will just grab one of these spiders. Yeah, two spiders in that tunnel in between me and the mole lizard, and the mole lizard got me. I think one of the spiders clipped through the wall. That's fun. But I've like, the more movement that you learn, the more enjoyable Sky Islands becomes because you no longer have to rely on Squidcadas. And if you play like Rivulet or Saints, then or Artificer, then it matters even less. And now we're at Sky Islands right now. I actually really enjoy this part of the run. The beginning. There's pretty much no creatures. There's like an orange lizard that you might need to worry about on the way to the Chimney Echo, but that's it. And it's just movement. And Sky Islands is great for Saints movement. Roll passes and throw this on your first playthrough. I'm not talking about first playthrough. Oops, I forgot how to move. Supposed to go down there. I've been thinking about this channel and what I want to do in the future. I think at some point I want to, because you know, pretty much this whole time that I've been playing Rain World, it's been challenges, speedruns, mods, and stuff. I don't know how often I've really just played the game. I suppose, you know, when Downpour came out, I just played the new characters, and that was it, you know. But that was probably like the only time. But I'm kind of interested in doing a stream where I just play just like the base campaign without trying to like super optimize it, without doing like speedrun strats. Or maybe I'll still do speedrun strats here and there. But I'll do the intended paths instead of like probable percent skips so much. So I would do like intended percent instead, where you go to moon and then you go up through underhang or exterior as a whole. And just like to talk about the game. You know, I always end up doing that in these streams, regardless of what the stream is actually about. But I feel like I kind of want to kind of prepare my thoughts in advance. And I kind of have a script, maybe. I mean, not like completely like word for word, but just like a list of things to talk about. Because I kind of want to just do an overview of this game as a whole. Because, you know, I always kind of have little like fragmented thoughts about it here and there on the stream. Just to like cover the whole thing in its entirety. And then to do that for base Rain World and then for Downpour too. I think that'd be a good way to kind of to kind of like as a send off to Rain World for this channel. I'm not always going to be doing Rain World stuff. Or exclusively focusing on Rain World. That's it. Throw boosting there really helps. Yeah, sub-training is really rough too. There was a time where I was stuck in sub-training. This was before Downpour, so I couldn't go through Pipe Yard. But you can get stuck if you don't want to go down to filtration or the depths. Like, how do you get out of sub-training, you know? If you want to go to like Sky Islands, for example, you have to do basically a loop around the whole map. Do that. Go to Shoreline, and Shoreline to Shaded to Industrial to Chimney to Sky Islands. That's like half the map. Just trying to get. Like, just sub-training just does not connect very well to the rest of the map. I guess Pipe Yard would make that significantly easier. Just go to Pipe Yard and Sky Islands. I guess that was pretty much exactly why the region was created. For that problem, but also Pipe Yard is kind of a huge maze too, so it's not too much better. I'm curious if anyone has created a platformer like custom region. So I know it's already a big thing for like the movement maps are a big thing. Well, like, not a big thing at all, but it's something. Some part of this community, like Jump King, was pretty much, or not Jump King, Slug King, inspired by Jump King. Where it's basically just a big vertical like platforming challenge where if you make a mistake you might fall down and lose a lot of progress. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about like just a regular platformer, like kind of Mario-esque. Something that like makes use of jump please. Something that feels like a regular platforming game where it teaches you like a unique mechanic or maybe a unique gimmick. Although Rain World doesn't really, since Rain World isn't a platformer, it doesn't really have that many like environmental platforming gimmicks. So I feel like it'd be great if there's a region specifically designed for this kind of like speedrunning movement. Doing like slides and slide pounces, roll pounces, all that sort of stuff. In like a big like linear path of rooms that like progressively get harder and like expand upon like certain movement mechanics. But that isn't like extremely difficult and requires like a bunch of obscure tech like some of those other movement maps do. Something that you could give to a new player and by the end of it they would be like at least somewhat competent with like some speedrunning tech. That's something that I'd like to see. And if I knew how to make custom regions, I might actually do that myself. I don't like this guy. Bye. Centipedes are along for the ride. How big is the overlap? I mean, I often see people say that they're interested in doing speedruns, but that the movement is like daunting. Like, oh, you know, maybe I want to try speedrunning, but I don't know any movement tech. It would be cool to have like a set of maps that you could give to that person and say, hey, like, try out these movement maps, and by the end of it, you should know at least like the basics of like some of the speedrunning movement that we use. And then you could have like different areas for the different characters. So some would be focused on like Rivulet movement or Artificer movement. Although Artificer doesn't really have that much going on. Don't actually like platformers. I also know that a lot of people aren't too heavy with the movement system. The kind of people that want to use the simplified moveset mod for speedruns. Because it makes sense. Some movement, like slide pounces, are like weirdly difficult. It might feel like, oh, you're supposed to just like learn this thing to do in a speedrun. Like, you've got to do slide pounces every once in a while because they're like a pretty fast way to move around. But you actually try out slide pounces and it's like a pretty like tight timing window. Simplified moveset makes the game significantly easier for the movement specifically. Hello? Like, you can chain together slide bounces and roll bounces just by like spamming the jump button. Excuse me. I don't know. Maybe it's something that I'd want to look into. If I made it, then it would not look very good. If you remember the Slug King map, where it was basically just like solid like walls and like platforms and stuff. That's pretty much exactly what I would be able to create too. Possibly good RNG with these spiders, depending on if these two are in the way. It seems like that one's moving. Oh, this one. Just don't move up right now, thank you. I think it'd be nice to like contribute to the community, something that is like fun to speedrun and not annoying. Goodness, that looks kind of close. Sometimes there are categories that are kind of awful. People don't want to try it because of the creature RNG or the this and that, you know. And having just then like exclusively platforming focused, like custom map. I don't know if this would just be like its own map or like a custom region. If like region would be weird if it like tries to fit along with the rest of the world. Actually ran the category, the every death percent, all death percent. It has like 10 different names at this point. I mean, I've done the runs. Those streams were the attempts. I don't think it's something that I'm going to like grind out to try to like optimize. But maybe I'll return to it like very rarely. It's at least fun. I think it's all right. It's very long. That's probably the worst part. It's just more of an endurance thing by the end. If you could maybe take breaks in the middle of it, it'd be better. If it wasn't like an actual category, I wouldn't mind if it was segmented. Where, well, not like segmented in the normal sense that like runs are cheated, but like you could do all the characters separately. Or in different like sessions. Also, I forgot what I'm doing. I have to go down. You could do like the sage part of the run and then take a break. Do the artificer part of the run, take a break, and then like do the rest maybe. Which is like 4 straight hours. Can be exhausting. Especially since you have to like memorize the specific routes to follow. I kind of would like to see someone else try the challenge though. Even if they don't really go for the whole speedrun part of it. Are y'all ready to die again to a... Okay, please. Not very happy with this. This area is kind of just awkward in general. There we go. And this guy's right here. Want to jump? Maybe I should have approached them sooner. Oh, okay. Got lucky here. But I lost so much time on the caramel. Also, I just realized a rain world platformer would be kind of weird because there's no like environmental hazards. Like there's the like I guess like rot, worm grass, slug zappers, but those I feel like are kind of like in the way. They're not like spikes in a normal platformer where it's like you touch something, you die, and you restart. And also shelter, or just like dying in general, it takes a long time because you have to respawn into the shelter. Oh, okay, that's actually lucky. Maybe it would be nice to have a mod where like there's a like thing that if you touch, you just get teleported to a different part of the room. That was the obstacle. The stream thumbnail didn't play staying. I thought about that for a second. I was like, this thumbnail might be a bit of a spoiler. But I'd already made the thumbnail and the stream was going to start in like 20 minutes, so. And plus, I've already done so many paint streams that I'm running out of ideas for thumbnails. I want all of them to be like pretty unique. Please let go. So I try to do like a different region every time and like some different thing going on in the thumbnail. It'd probably be a better idea to just create a generic like stream thumbnail and just repeat that for everyone. Actually, I'm curious. I have a question for you all. Do you like care about the thumbnail before watching the stream? Like, do you see the thumbnail, you're like, oh, that looks interesting, I'm gonna watch that, or do you just like watch it anyway? Because a lot of you I see here pretty consistently. Don't watch any related media until you're finished. I mean, Rain World is such a big game. I can understand, like, if you finish Survivor and Hunter, you'd want to go, like, see videos about Survivor and Hunter, but then, like, maybe, like, Downpour stuff shows up. So, you know, unless you want to go through the entirety of Downpour before you, like, look at any Rain World content at all, and you try to actively avoid it. That's, like, especially difficult because of the, like, popularity of Downpour. A lot of, like, stuff has, like, popped up about it. That's a normal size centipede for once. I hope these scavengers don't drop down and ruin everything. Okay, they're about to do it. I guess I just have to go around the slow way. That was a mistake. That is, like, a part of Twitch streaming that sounds more appealing to me. It does get kind of annoying sometimes to have to create a thumbnail every single stream. You don't have to make a thumbnail for Twitch. We're getting real close, you know. Oh, wow. It's a scavenger. Doesn't have a spear, though. Did you guys know that was a scavenger? Did I need to tell you that? Yeah, go in that. Are you alive? Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's the perfect time to start moving. Sometimes I do make the thumbnails maybe a little bit more sensational. But I never want to lie, to like have like something unrealistic. If it's in the title or thumbnail, that's probably exactly what I'm going to be doing. But sometimes I definitely notice that the more extravagant stream like titles tend to get more viewers. But I can understand that like the 50th like speedrun stream, you know, you probably get bored of that eventually. That's a lot of big wind boost. Oh wow, another Saint speedrun, like I've already seen that before. I don't know if it's just me not looking hard enough, but I feel like I have not really seen that many interesting mods where Randworld show up. I mean, it makes sense that the popular ones are going to stay popular, but... And then back when there weren't that many mods, you know, the handful that there were, that just ended up being popular by default. So maybe there's some, like, good ones that are hidden. I would like to... I'm open to taking, like, suggestions for mods. Okay. Guess I just can't do those today. Not like they're really used for the speedrun or anything. Oh, Voltra. Don't usually see them. I usually see them in this room. It's just structured for modding in general. I mean, Downpour is... I mean, okay, you're definitely one to complain about Downpour. Just like me. But, you know, Downpour is pretty much a mod, right? And it kind of, like, started the whole idea of, you know, modded characters just being a thing. I feel like they actually do work pretty well. A mod can add a character and then maybe a few new regions or a few, like, new creatures and stuff. But also, if you really like the feel of vanilla Randworld, then of course mods are going to be a bit strange, because that's definitely part of my complaints with Downpour. How some of the characters feel modded. Like the Rarefaction Cell, the Singularity Bombs, or Saint's Ascension ability. They feel more like characters that are just given crazy abilities for the sake of, like, being a fun character in a video game, which is obviously the point, but that kind of doesn't fit Randworld exactly. You know, the base lookouts are more just, like, realistic, just, like, creatures, you know. Maybe they have some, like, crazy movement tech, and, like, they throw spears really well for some reason. But they're generally, like, pretty, like, realistic. I'm thinking of playing Terraria on stream soon. Every time I say that I'm going to do something, I never do it, so I'm not lying about this one, but I don't know about the soon part. But I also want to do, or check out some mods. And I have a lot of things to say about mods, especially in a game like Terraria. But yeah, Terraria has a lot more mods that are very, like, that have a lot of content. Randworld, for now, it's just been, you know, here's a Slugcat with, like, some new abilities and maybe, like, a creature here or there. But Terraria has, like, entire, like, oh great, these guys. Some, like, mods feel like entire updates with the amount of content they add, or, like, equals to the game. Nice that you guys sound interested in that at least. I have no idea how that's going to go. To like focus on one game for so long and then to like switch to like literally anything else. But, you know, the reason that I'm playing Rain World at all is because I think it's representative of the kind of games that I'm going to be playing on this channel. And maybe Terraria is not exactly the right game to follow it up with. Kind of no longer in the realm of, like, small indie gem. It's definitely exploded, but, you know, it's Terraria. But there's other games that I want to play that will definitely fit the... Okay. We all have cool ideas, but we are too lazy to actually make them. Also, apparently, Rain World is quite spaghetti code, so actually, like, making a mod might be kind of painful. And usually, a lot of mods don't come out until there's some sort of tool, like the slug base, or there's another mod that helps with making custom regions. So if someone has to, who actually knows what they're doing, has to like, hold on, I can provide that kind of tool before mods are made. That's probably the case for most mods. They're complicated. Because the wormgrass see me? I don't know. That's happened before, where I like drop into the wormgrass for a while, but it usually doesn't kill me if I jump out fast enough. I don't need to go up. You know, the funny thing is, you know, Rain World is a very special thing, a very special game, but the way that I'm playing it most of the time on these streams is like completely against the intended experience. And a lot of really interesting aspects of the game are greatly diminished by the way that I'm playing them. Like, you really aren't supposed to be speedrunning the game. Like, patience is a big part of improving. But, you know, you can't just wait around in a speedrun. A big part of the game is the like exploration and discovery, but I already know like most of the stuff about this game, so there's like nothing is like new or interesting anymore. It's still interesting, of course, but it's mostly just like the movement and the like the gameplay that I'm mostly focusing on now. The funny thing is that I actually never really had that first playthrough experience. So I've always played Rain World twice, if that makes sense. I think I like watched like a video of the ending of the game without even knowing what it meant. So that was like totally spoiled for me. I didn't go to exterior for the longest time because I just kind of saw it as the difficult region, so I should avoid it. And I always took the wall route. Like there's like an invisible wall there. Well, that happens quite a lot in this game where there's collision that isn't exactly matched the visuals, but it's weird in that spot. After that. But also, part of the reason that I'm streaming this game at all is because there's not too many streams of people who are experienced with the game. And, you know, when someone plays the game for the first time, of course they're not going to know what to do, but that's especially the case with Rain World. If you go to just any random stream, there's a 95% chance that they're going to be stuck in outskirts for like 3 hours. And sometimes, you know, that isn't the most enjoyable thing to watch. And I think a lot of us, you know, we like the game and we would like other people to play it, but also actually like watching someone play it for the first time can kind of be painful. More so than most games. But also that first time experience where you don't know anything is kind of part of the charm. Part of what makes this game special. And there's this kind of anxiety of, is this person actually going to enjoy this game? Because I think everyone has not enjoyed it at some point around the beginning, where it's like the controls are weird, the creatures are like really hard to avoid, and I don't know where I am. I can't find shelters and it rains. And you probably like come to enjoy it eventually, but if you're watching someone else play it for the first time, you don't know if that will happen. Okay. I keep missing that. Since it's like just off screen, I can't exactly see where it is, of course. That's cool. That was a really big jump for some reason. It looked like I jumped the second time midair. Try to avoid what happened last time. Scavengers, please don't. Saint had bad reputation with them. Peaks are broken. They're very broken. But also, you know, they are a creature. They are not a pogo stick. it's kind of surprising that grapple worms work as well as they do. There was this game, I don't remember the name of it, but there was this like big dog bird creature that you needed to... Okay, I don't really remember much about it at all. I didn't even play the game. But there's this massive like dog creature, and you tried to like they were very strong, and they could like deal with like physical threats, but also you had to like, you know, like solve puzzles and stuff because you're like the smart one of the two. But sometimes the dog wouldn't listen to you because it's like they tried to emulate the feel of like it being a wild creature. So sometimes you could order them around, and sometimes you couldn't because they wouldn't listen and just do their own thing. And then people complained about that game because it was annoying that they didn't listen to what you did, but also people were like, okay, that's like actually a decent mechanic because it's supposed to be a wild animal that doesn't listen to what you do, what you tell it to do all the time. The Last Guardian, that sounds right. And that's kind of like what happens in Rain World sometimes, like reindeer, for example. They are just wild animals, and like maybe they don't have to listen to what you want them to do, and maybe they shouldn't always just function as like a vehicle on like a set of tracks that you can always rely on to like cross the worm grass. It would be nice if they did that, but you know, they're just like, they can do whatever they want. They don't necessarily need to serve the player. A taxi, sure. That's just like part of Rain World, that it sacrifices gameplay for the immersion. The like true vision for this game is just make an ecosystem, and they did that very well. And sometimes it's at the sacrifice of gameplay. Don't go down, thank you. So I guess, you know, maybe geeks are just kind of, but also, you know, doing a double jump randomly or not jumping sometimes, I don't know. Because they didn't make grapple worms super inconsistent. They pretty much work whenever you want them to, exactly how you want them to. They can be a bit awkward to control, but not really because they don't work, but just because the physics are a bit strange. So can I say that's a complaint? Like, I would like if Yeeks worked perfectly 100% of the time, or is that a good thing? That they are inconsistent? Yep, traffic jam. Of course, the spitter spider is the one left over. Don't go down. Oh yeah, jetfish too. Jetfish work perfectly fine. They're like sometimes annoying because some areas require jetfish and they just don't show up. It's like, well, they don't require it if you're like really good at swimming. But for the average player, they definitely require. Oh, that's just wonderful. If I'm up here, come get me. Okay, that's wonderful too. That's not even close to the right direction. So since grapple worms and jetfish work very well, then yeeks are included because they directly influence the player's jumping. But deer, like, you aren't really moving the deer around yourself. They're just kind of like along for the ride. So it's fine if they're like a little bit wonky. Although deer are janky, not just because they're wild animals, because they are programmed not correctly. I don't know what the problem is, but sometimes they do not work at all. And even for a wild animal where they like stand still and don't do anything for like a whole day, it's like, why are you doing this? There's like no reason you should be doing this at all. Oh, no music? No music normally play here? Or did it already play for the other echo? Is that always what happens and I just never noticed it? Oh yeah, a lot of people did not have a great first impression of Saint because of the cold. And if you go through farm arrays, then you think initially that you have to use deer. That is, yeah, they like to stand still and you just like freeze to death. RNG. Nice. Like, the moment you put a lantern in your stomach, Saint becomes... It's the second time that's happened. But the moment you have a lantern in your stomach, Saint becomes significantly easier. You just never have to worry about the cold pretty much until it's like the very end of the cycle and you spend too much time outside. But a lot of players are like, does the lantern actually help with the chair in the stomach? Or they don't even think of doing that at all. It would be kind of strange if the game just told you, hey, put your lantern in your stomach, because the game never does that. Never just tell something like that. Alright, it does tell you that warm objects are warm. I don't know if it points out that lanterns count. I know what, since I already paused. But luckily yeeks exists, so we don't need to deal with the deer. Otherwise, I would not run this category. Maybe there's some other alternate route that you could take. That would be a lot better. In fact, I never really looked into the Saint route too much. Someone else had already done a run and I just basically did the same route, but a few small changes here and there. Yeah, maybe you don't get cold when you're riding a deer, but like waiting for one is the main problem. Just sitting around waiting for one to show up across the warm grass. like there's always a lag spike right there, which makes that difficult for some reason. Okay, good timing. Okay. Always underestimate how good a throw boosted roll pounce is. If you do a full length roll into a double roll or a double throw boost, that gets you across like most jumps in this game. That alone. Nice one. Going pretty good so far. I mean, I can't really say anything about the run until we've gotten past Subterranean. Or Rubicon, really. Can't say it's a good run until you're pretty much at the very end. Obviously. I didn't even notice a vulture there. Nope, I still can't get it. She saw the tongue there, like just barely missed it there. That platform up there that I was trying to grab. Even then, if I do grab it, I don't even know if it's like the fastest way to do that room. Just end up just getting flung into the wall. That was probably not Eek. Oh, that's wonderful. All the way over there. You know what? I'm just gonna go back this way. Never mind. I just don't like that. I think the absolute fastest possible run for Saint Story, probably sub 50. I believe. Like, if you're like task level perfect, you get sub 50. I got a 53-minute run with no creatures enabled. So you need to save about 3 minutes with just like perfect movement. Oh, I picked up so many items there. Like, Saint is one of those characters that has incredible potential with their movement. The way you can build up momentum with the grappling. If you manage to like build up the perfect amount of speed and then maintain it through every room, there's like a lot of time that could be saved, but that's just like an unrealistic amount of precision. Since like getting the max amount of speed from a grapple, like doing that, it just does not feel consistent. Sometimes you like kind of stretch it out a little bit if you go beyond the like maximum length of your tongue. Then it'll like pull you back like a spring, and that can like give you a crazy amount of speed, but only if you like it feels like consistent. So if you could do that every time, there's a lot of time to be saved. But that's just like incredibly unrealistic. I don't even know that if I've thought about trying a different route for this stream. I don't even know if I'm going to get to Rubicon, so maybe we won't get to see that. But I'm taking a different path to Rubicon, which might be a lot worse in terms of creatures. I don't know why I do that there. Favorite game with trippy visuals? Rain World. I like how Rain World is like kind of simple in the beginning. If you're just in like outskirts and industrial, it's like, okay, this is what the game is going to look like, you know? You set your expectations, and then you go to like Pebbles, like the General Assistance bus, or when you see an Echo, or when you're in the Void Sea / Depths, and the visuals just kind of go crazy. I'm a fan of moments like that, but there's also like non-trippy moments, like at the top of the wall. It's just kind of like a crazy sequence of like seeing the other iterators in the distance, seeing how high up you are, and then seeing the city up there. And then you go to Pebbles after that if you're taking that route. But most of the time, I prefer games that are very simple and very clear with their visuals. I don't like clutter. I don't like particle effects everywhere, and like it's also why I don't really like 3D games as much. If you're like fighting someone in a 3D game and you're like in a forest, then there's gonna be like trees and stuff in front of the camera, in between the camera and what you're looking at. If it's like a third-person perspective, if the first-person perspective, I always feel like your field of view is so limited you can't see what's going on. You have to like be looking around all over the place. But if you look around too fast, then you won't be able to like see things clearly. And I guess that's the point of the first-person perspective, to make it feel like you are actually like that character and you can't see that much. I like it when 2D games like just have a side view like this where you can see everything, or top down. I suppose it's the same thing, but it's part of why. Okay, this is a controversial opinion. I don't like Ultra Kill that much, but I can't really say for sure because I haven't played the game for myself. But all the gameplay that I've seen of the game, it looks way too chaotic. There's so much stuff going on. There's too much like noise. It's like way too intense. And that like kind of just like makes me uninterested in like playing the game for myself. Excuse me. I mean, Rain World can be chaotic. Like Chimney Canopy, where there's like a bunch of creatures, but that's all that's going on. The creatures are there, and you see what's happening, but that's it. There's not too much else, and the environment is always like static. Hello. Welcome to the stream. You may notice that I'm in Farmerays. I've pretty much been here for the whole stream. Gallons and Farmerays, and if I get the subterranean, I die to like a spider or a mole lizard. I've died to a mole lizard twice so far. Because twice so far, I've been in a scenario where there's a spider and a mole lizard in the tunnel. I'm like, okay, a spider is in between me and the mole lizard, so the mole lizard will bite the spider, and then it'll be distracted so I can go on by. But then the spider would clip out like through the wall, and then it would just be me and the mole lizard, and they would kill me. That's happened twice. That exact scenario. So thank them. It's gonna be fun to play Hollow Knight, because then I can complain about stuff. I'm kind of not a fan of that place. Why did I? Okay, well, thank you. I almost fell down there, but they actually pushed me out. Honestly, the geek was the main problem. Not jumping when I wanted them to. I shouldn't have done that. No gear skip today. No, it is gear skip. We're using a geek instead. Okay, just missed that. I mean, there's still opportunities for that. We're not done with the year or the worm grass quite yet. Didn't leave too early. These guys are going to be annoying again. The answer is yes, by default. Example. Yep. No, come on, please. There you go. Maybe I shouldn't grab the ones from here. I should do the ones on the other side of the room. I don't think there's any other good options for shelters to take. We take the shelter there so that when we get the echo, we don't go that far. We can then go down to grab the farm raise echo, which sends you back to that shelter so you can continue down into Subterranean. Seems like the best option. Unless there's some kind of route that goes through farm raise, like into outskirts into undergrowth, but then you have to go out of your way to get the Subterranean and echo for no reason. Hey dude, you wanna move? You wanna move a little bit more than that? Like, I'm not doing a death percent right now, so you actually should stop. Also, this spider was way more aggressive than any other spider we found in those runs. When that happens. Oh, it's also really fun when that happens. There's like somewhere between 0 and 4 centipedes in this area. Or 5, actually. Okay, deer actually made it worse. There's been no Silksong news. You know, I said that I was going to stream Hollow Knight just before the release of Silksong. So, you know, that could be any... Like, that can happen whenever, really. This year, like this decade, perhaps. You know, maybe it's because I'm just not really that big of a fan of Hollow Knight, but I don't really care about the wait. Like some people seem particularly frustrated at how long Silksong is taking, but I mean, I don't really mind that much. Because there's a universe where Silksong just did not exist at all, so, and I'm sure that we wouldn't care that much about it. Like if they didn't announce Silksong, we would all be fine, right? Like the lack of Silksong It's just like the default state of being. That's a stupid way to say it, but like I don't think I should feel worse just because I know that I don't have access to Silksong yet, right? And it's kind of cool to know that they are actually taking that long on the game, because you know that it's going to be good, or at least like polished. We're here again. It's gonna have to. Was that dead? A lot of the game's content is optional as well. I think I might have heard about that. Kind of like a Breath of the Wild approach of go to the end when you're ready. That's a spitter spider. Surprised they didn't immediately bite me. Which is actually great. That kind of makes the like a speedrun of the game sound a lot more appealing. So I think the speedrun for Hollow Knight, like you still have to get the streamers. I mean, I guess it makes sense, you know, it's an entire game, but sometimes, no, a speedrun of a game doesn't actually sound that appealing because you have to do the entire thing and it's like a whole hour. As I am currently playing a speedrun that takes about an hour. But I think I usually enjoy like 20 to 30 minute speedruns a lot more. Like one category that I actually really enjoyed was Rivulet Pebble Percent. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. It was actually one of the runs that I was going to do for the speedrun marathon event. That was my first option, but it wasn't picked for some reason, even though I thought it was the most interesting. Well, actually, that's debatable, because I used a bunch of wall pounces in the Pebble Percent run, and then after that I learned about all the wall pounces in the Story Percent run, both for Rivulets, so maybe that made them like equal, but that run was basically the first time when I learned just how useful wall pounces can be. Like, I used a ton of them when going up through like Industrial and Chimney. And that run is like pretty short, because Pebble Percent is already like a decently short category, and then Rivulet Movement just makes it even faster. This Monster Cup just has not been here for some reason. It's like doing that category as well as a handful of any percent runs have been like, were like actually like really enjoyable. And then it's like back to the Saint run where it's like an hour long. And where I'd usually died at Rubicon. I'm sure that an hour long run wouldn't be nearly as bad if it had much less RNG. Because like Artificer is a short category, only about 20 minutes, but it's still like just as annoying to play. Because it's so difficult and RNG. But like back to Hollow Knight, I never was really interested in the speedrun. And part of that is just because it's like a decently long category. I mean, actually, I guess I'm not entirely sure how long it is. But if it involves getting the Dreamers, then it has to be like a decent amount at least. But Silksong, you know, if it's like a pretty short, plus just because it's more like movement based, That already makes it sound more appealing than Hollow Knight. Because one thing I really don't like about Hollow Knight is that the first, well, I don't know how long it is exactly, but up until you get the dash and the wall jump, the game is like not great, in my opinion. Because like having those movement abilities is such a huge help, but everything you do before that point feels just like sluggish. I guess that's the point of a Metroidvania, right? You're grade limited and you can't really do anything, but then you get these upgrades and now you can like go back and do all that stuff, which just kind of makes the beginning of the game kind of feel really slow. But I have a feeling that Silksong might start you off with a lot more movement abilities. Oh, Centipede. I could probably just like swing all the way through this room real fast, but I've died to these mirror birds doing that before. This sucks. Do you want to do something? Okay, I could have done that earlier. It's only inevitable. Like, of course, there's a centipede here. I want to go the other way, or do you just want to? By the way, this is added like 2 minutes to the run total. Waiting for the Mirror Bird and the centipede. Yep. There's 2 of them in there. Okay, I brought one of the centipedes with me. The second one. Oh, nice lag spike. Actually made me mess up that jump. Cool. I'll take sub training, you know. Yeah, subterranean is really bad, and then we have to return to this area later too. This run would be a lot better if subterranean was a bit better and if Rubicon was a bit shorter. Those are the main difficulties with this run. Like, farm race is pretty chill for the most part, other than the process of getting a yeek. That's kind of rough since there's like a white lizard and a caramel lizard there. And the yeeks can be in random positions, but like shoreline, there's like not much here other than a few snails. Sonic Construct is like kind of bad, but usually you like have a lot of space to move around, and the Echo deals with most of the creatures the first time around, and then the second time around you have the attention ability, so you can just get rid of anything that's a problem. Skylands like barely has any creatures in it at all. Thank you for that. I think I'm not great. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean, just like once again, sometimes there's just too many creatures. Okay. Second attempt. I have no idea where that second snail went, but they weren't a problem. Come on. Just would kind of wish that Rain World had more like random like prey animals, sort of. Like egg bugs and noodle flies, just kind of stuff like that. That's just kind of in the background, not really that important, but they're there. Lantern mice, squidcada. Like, those are good examples, and sometimes I think those creatures are used well, but I think those kind of creatures should be the majority, not the predators, especially not like the red creatures. Not really a problem for Saint, but definitely a problem for Spearmaster and Artificer. Way too many red lizards and centipedes and like king vultures, and you know, those should not be like the majority of the creatures. Oops. Okay, I did that too much. Just in time for the jellyfish. Going down here. You know, the existence of the cycle leads me to believe that most creatures eat each other. There's an area where there's like 2 cyan lizards. One of them might get food, but if the other doesn't, or if neither of them do, they're just gonna eat the other cyan lizard, and then they just come back because of the cycle next. Anywhere. Only explanation for the abundance of creatures like them. Hello, goodbye. Okay, wish gravity stayed low for a while. Now we have to do this. So rude. We'll be seeing Moon later anyway. Okay, I really suck at this room. Just really awkward layout. I mean, if we didn't ascend the iterators, they would probably just stay alive for who knows how long. Just kind of decaying away, especially Pebbles. That whole sequence felt kind of slow. Could have done a lot better. I usually like to throw boost a lot there, but I just didn't have any items. Why doesn't the rock consume the puppet? I have no idea. Plot armor. Maybe they only eat like, well, I have no idea. Yeah, I was gonna say like they only eat like organic things, but also the rot consumed the rest of the structure that is very much not organic. The way the rot kind of like consumes the walls and the background. Like they could have just also done that to the puppet. Why did both just type the same exact comment? There's only like 2 people in this stream and with like 5 different accounts. I figured it out. The third, not associated with the others. I think it's kind of strange how the community has placed emphasis on the puppets. I mean, I guess they can go do whatever they want, but I think it's kind of strange when there's like original iterator characters and they have like the most ridiculous designs ever. Or like any romance at all between the iterators. Like that's like, kind of strange. I guess the output doesn't really help with like the chat logs between the iterators as Spearmaster. Oh, yep, Troll Lizard is here. Why'd I drop so far down? Yep, okay, that's great. I didn't mean to do that. only exposure to the Randall community, just this stream. If you're referring specifically to the Ascension, but I think that's just like, just kind of shows the scope of the Saint's abilities. That the puppet is just kind of a target that ends up influencing the whole structure, or whatever's left of it, of course. Because both Moon and Pebbles are kind of disconnected from the larger structure, so who knows what would happen if they actually tried to ascend. Maybe that's what the Sliver of Straw thing is. What happens if you try to ascend an entire, like, functioning superstructure? It takes a few attempts. There's not really any reason that an Iterator should take more ascensions than a Guardian. And it only works in the campaign because they've already decayed so much. Yeah, we're using this glitch now. Well, is it really a glitch? It's just kind of an exploit. Where you go through the wall when you're not supposed to. And the rest kind of works as intended. Not as intended, but the code works as intended. That's like a 50-50 success rate for me. I mean, yeah, the puppets are in Rubicon, but also there's this kind of like amalgamation of the structure too. Although that's kind of all of Rubicon. It's a distorted version of the other regions. So I suppose, you know, and they're also there if you don't ascend them. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on. Are you suggesting that an alternate count is accusing the other alternate account of lying about being an alternate count? The plot thickens. Still not consistent at picking up both of those at the same time. Yeah, that was the weakest jump I've ever gotten off that. Actual vulture here. Feels like it's going pretty good so far. I mean, I can't really say that in Sky Islands. It always goes good. I mean, I might die here and there, but has the run really started yet? I don't think so. Does it ever really start? Until it's over? Kind of looks like I took fall damage, but I just started rolling. Oh wow, there's a flying centipede stuck on this pipe for some reason. What a surprise. I missed that platform, what a surprise. Both of you? Where does the snow come from? I mean, there are always like a lot of clouds, right? That just kind of became a constant after all the iterators. The only difference is that the iterators were basically just massive heaters for the surrounding regions. Everywhere outside of their influence was pretty much exactly like this sort of environment. And then after they collapsed, now it spread to here too. I mean, it snows a lot, but the snow really never really piles up, right? It's always like the same amount at the beginning of every cycle. So that's the main question. Like the iterators basically just brought a bunch of water to the surface. But as to how this like the cycle is still how it's still like snowing and it like you think it would all just like snow and then that would be it. I don't know if I have a good answer for that though. It's a fast fall. This is actually pretty good pace. But also, it would make sense that there are a handful of iterators left. Because Pebbles and Moon both had some events that happened to them that sped up their collapse. So if there's an iterator where nothing really happened out of the ordinary, then they would probably still be like mostly functional. But we do see a lot of like collapsed iterators. This is something that kind of confuses me about Saint. At the very end, spoiler warning. At the very end, we see like a bunch of collapsed iterators in the distance. But, like, why did they collapse? You know what? I'm just gonna grab this one. Unless they disappeared. Because Pebbles had the rot, Moon had that whole situation with the water. And then they collapse, and then that's pretty much the state that they're in, right? It actually doesn't really seem like that much time passed at all, because like there's between Saint and between Monk and Rivulet, the rot has spread a lot, but that suggested that it's because the rot spread to the like water like conduit system that like delivered water across the entire structure, so the rot kind of like rode along that and spread much further. And then, you know, once the rot has kind of like done its thing, Pebbles collapsing after that makes sense. That's wonderful. I really don't like that. The moment I go up there, I'm gonna die. There's two of them, by the way. And now there's scavengers over there. Or there's also the possibility that, like, every single iterator has gone through something after this long of, like, trying to find the solution and, like, trying everything. Maybe something always eventually happens. Or maybe a solution was found and it just never spread to Pebbles or Moon, because, you know, communication doesn't work that well. And I don't think it's Saint, because we actually have no information about Saint at all. Other than that, they're probably not associated with Sliver of Straw, and thus the solution. Also, hello over on Twitch. Maybe you'd like to know that I also stream on YouTube to a slightly larger audience. You know, maybe no, Spider's still on me. I don't need that Eek. I'll do that. Spent a lot of time on those spiders. It's extremely hard to explain, yeah. They don't really make any sense at all. I suppose it's like all right, but also Vanilla Rainworld had a lot of unanswered questions, and then Downpour didn't really answer most of them and just added a bunch more. Maybe that's the intent. Just leave a bunch to the unknown. But I feel like it kind of leaves us to just endlessly speculate without any like definitive answers. Don't die to that. Not much warm grass there though. What about sub echo? I already got them. I usually get them before the farm raise echo. I don't think it makes a difference what order you do them in. I don't like that caramel lizard. Okay, they got stabbed. Injured mole. Please move. Thank you. Yeah, Saint is just about as impossible to explain as Gourmand. Imagine that. I thought it made a lot of sense before Downpour. This whole theory, like, oh, Sliver of Straw created Saint as the triple affirmative, and then Saint ascended them, and then Saint spent a long time traveling between the iterators to ascend them all. And that's why they're at the end of the timeline by the time they get to Moon and Pebbles. But I think that's just incorrect. It's like, well, shoot, that would have answered a lot of questions. But I kind of just realized that the Sliver of Straw thing is pretty much just to justify the rock. That's really the conclusion of that whole plot. Can you really call it that? Sliver of Straw started the whole, like, what did they start? The, like, Sliverist and Anti-Sliverist. And it was because of that, like, whole drama that Pebbles got interested in the idea of experiments. So the whole thing is just an explanation for why the Raw exists. And that's it. Like, there's not much how that comes out of it. I suppose also that, which didn't need answered in the first place. Yeah, like why the structures aren't collapsing all the time because of the rain. There's little, like, microbes that repair it automatically. Wow, that's very interesting. That's actually, like, the one thing that I remember from the pearls. The new Downpour pearls. That's like the one thing that there's those, like, microbes. Let's jump. Please don't run into that room over there. There's a chance that the run is over. As the music glitches out. Okay, we're good. Sometimes that spider just despawns. I don't know why. I wish it always despawned. It's not consistent. Oh, welcome to the stream. Modest creature rando. That sounds like a lot of fun. Definitely. Scavengers. Don't go down. He's gonna go down. Okay, they weren't in the way though. So I have to take this path instead. Also, the stream is not lagging, or maybe it is, I don't know, but the game is lagging. I think it's kind of strange that the communication networks between the iterators collapsed so quickly. Or maybe a lot more time has passed than we think, but... like, the iterators are, like, pretty functional for a long time, but the communication, like, is immediately broken. You can still see all the communication towers in the background. I think it's implied that the communications array in Sky Islands is broken, but you can still see plenty more other than that one. Clown DLOs. Or is it the red ones? Or is that a real thing? The DLOs that can see you. Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, here we go again with the Miros bird trying to catch a lantern mouse. Red TLOs aren't real, they can't hurt you. Please. Okay, just killed all my speed there. It'd be a lot easier if it wasn't lagging. But I suppose I can't do anything about that. Okay, I thought I got grabbed for a second. That'd be fun. Strawberry lizard, if it was good. I like strawberry lizards. There you go. I don't know when you said that message, but thanks for watching. They could stun like for you forever. Is that better than just dying to them? Or is that worse? Because normal DLLs just kill you, right? Or do they have like some amount of range? I haven't died to a snail. I think it's so weak. This might be a mistake. I think it was a mistake. Yeah, I think I got lucky. You know what else stops you? Massive jellyfish. Rotund World. I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand Rotund World. Maybe I'm like missing most of the content, but it just kind of looks like a bit annoying and not very consequential. I mean, Saint can literally go through walls with their tongues, so I think that's a pretty good measure how strong it can be. Life-changing. Okay. Not really a fan of this room in low gravity. That was a mistake. I mean, that's pretty much exactly why. Well, speaking of moon, goodbye. It's funny, she has that kind of strange dialogue for the echo, and then it immediately cuts back to just regular. Like, oh, goodbye. I think I prefer that way of doing that room in normal gravity. I picked up a rock. Too late though. Where the pebbles now? Time to die to a lizard. You know, I say troll lizard because they usually just troll you, but that was a little bit more than just trolling, I think. What happened last time, so maybe I'll have to promote them. That's an improvement already, though. No Miros vultures. That like slingshot that I did at the end there. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. You know, I actually tried that out one time to get as many lanterns as possible. I had one in my stomach and I was holding 2, and the blizzard still makes you cold very, very quickly. Now, I don't know how the cold system works, but let's say that like the regular cold, just like being outside, gives you like 5 units of cold per second. And then being next to a lantern or having one in your stomach like gives you like 5 units or 4 units of warmth, right? Which brings the cold down to like just 1 unit, so it like very slowly affects you. Then once there's like the blizzard, it goes up to like 50 units of cold. And it's like you need like 10 lanterns to keep up with it. You need 4 lanterns? Because I feel like with 3 lanterns, it did not like make that much of a difference at all. But I imagine, yeah, once you're inside, it's not that much of a problem. I think there's a point, though, if you just stay outside for too long, or if it's just too late in the cycle, then you just die. It's like spontaneously. Which is kind of annoying, but I guess fair, because it's supposed to be like a hard time limit anyway with the rain. We got a friend here. Yeah, it's not as bad as the rain, but also you can't see the rain timer. So it's a little bit less predictable. But it's not really a problem at all in this speedrun. I mean, most of the time the rain isn't. And we also take a lot of shelters because of the echoes. Okay, Lizard's Revenge. They're in the same spot, just don't fall down. See, just a little bit of trolling. If you had to wait around for the deer, for example, it would be a problem. Or if you're in this region and you're like lost. I just want to do that. I kind of grabbed the pole and ruined it, but still alright. Time to forget where to go here, as always. Yeah, maybe not. I never really feel that confident with this area, but then I just kind of end up doing it anyway. I have no idea what pace I'm on right now. Also, when you end up doing this many speedruns that are similar to each other, I kind of, well, at least maybe for me, I end up forgetting which speedrun is which. Like on one attempt, like the spider slowed me down a bunch, but was that this attempt? I don't remember. The lizard? Oh, even more trolling this time. But I can't do anything about it. Was there a second one? Yeah, please. Okay, even trolling after death. Very funny. It's kind of nice to get that other blue lizard out of the way. That's not very nice. Please. I know that I could fly there, but I usually like to conserve as much ascension juice as possible. Thumbnail spot. There's always these lantern mice here. Well, they're quite annoyed by me at this point. Oh, they're back. I guess the ascension didn't work. You know, you really would think that the ascension ability would actually ascend things and prevent them from respawning. That's not how it works. Does it save the Pebbles kill? Yeah, it does. If I go to Rubicon, Pebbles will be there. Will we actually see him? That's we have no idea. There's actually a bug, a glitch in this game where if an injured creature went back into its den, it wouldn't come back ever. That den would just be gone. And if they just replicated that bug when you ascended a creature, that would be the functionality. That's all they have to do. I feel like it'd be pretty easy with the lineage system, right? You just replace the den spawns with You would basically lineage a creature into nothing with a 0% chance of becoming anything else. Right? I mean, sometimes creatures don't respawn for a few cycles, but they always end up coming back. Heroes vulture check. They're not here. How about in this room? That's wonderful. I didn't activate the ability in time, but it's alright. I could have just flown up the whole way. I don't really need to conserve the meter right now. Oh, yeah, there's a little beetle. My desk. They're gone now. And if he throws the name. Yeah, the same. I mean, who knows what the Saints' intentions are. I mean, the Saints' intentions are your intentions. Player. That's a real Undertale idea. The Saint isn't evil, you're evil. Go to Moon's Rift Reconcile as Saint. You can go there. I don't know. I think that it sends you to Bitter Airy, right? I don't think you can really interact with it at all. I know that if you go there with other characters, you just die. It starts raining immediately. Feels very lucky right now. Can't wait for everything to go wrong. Oh, that's better. Please. Can't fly here. Okay, if that was a larger centipede, that might have gone badly. Okay, droplet check. New little route through this room. Probably a bit faster than mine. That's a spitter spider. Okay, they're kind of slow. This room is usually awful, and yep, it still is. Okay, that went very well. I feel like I'm on kind of good pace, and I don't want to take the risky route just to lose it all. Yeah, there's a lot of jank stuff that happens if you try to mix the campaigns. Either the game crashes or it works like normal, or it like just reverts to the like original character's campaign. That's I think why you can't play as the other campaigns in like Jolly Co-op, because it just like breaks a bunch of stuff. I guess I'll have to take the other route. For notifications. See, why isn't there a fire bug? Okay, they don't get mad at you for that. I would have liked to see that when I was doing the death percent runs. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with taking that little route. Like both characters that they intend to look at. What do you get, like 2 pearls from Spearmaster? Okay, awful creature over here. Who's it gonna be? Nothing yet. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. Well, okay, that's it. That's the run. It's really nice when a pipe is really short, so there's no indication of if there's another creature coming through. And that happens. I could probably continue the run, but I mean, a death like that is always what makes it too slow. So we're just gonna end the stream here. Also, thank you. For some reason, the chat always stops updating close to the end of the stream. I don't know why. It detects when I'm about to leave, and it's like, all right, now I'm going to break. So it looks like all of you just disappear. Yeah, that's the end. I mean, maybe I could continue, but pretty much all the Saint runs that I've done, I've had a death in them at some point. And I just really wanted to finish on without any deaths. If I finish this one to the end, it probably would be just above an hour. Just because the game doesn't like me. And my main goal at this point is just to finish a run deathless. So that's just annoying. Something else. I mean, this is pretty close to when I would end the stream anyway. So thanks everyone for watching. I have no idea what to do for tomorrow's stream. Maybe I'll just do more speedruns. If you couldn't tell, the reason I've been doing more speedruns is because I've been running out of ideas for this game. I kind of thought about doing an expedition, but I don't know how to make it interesting. I have thought about mixing the characters in campaigns, kind of what you guys have been talking about. Some combination, like can you do this campaign as this character, but also I don't know how those work. Expedition rando, maybe. Hollow Knight stream. Reverb, I'll do that just before Silksong comes out. Maybe I'll have to play it before then. Nah, there's plenty of other Silksong. Yeah, let me just get early access real quick. Gormai can do Artificer. That's already been done. And that kind of sounds annoying. Like any Saint campaign would stop in Rubicon because no Ascension ability. Rivet runs. Well, maybe Rivet is possible as another character. But also, like the Raw isn't really influenced by Rivet's movement that much. And yeah, like there's already the cloak percent where you go into submerged superstructure as monk, so like it's not too unique to do that. And I would probably check out a mod if I could find something that's interesting. I mean, I could look right now. Does anyone know of a mod that has been updated, like one of the characters that I've already played before? Drone Master? I've played Drone Master so much already. That's like the one character. A one shot? I might have seen that. I thought it was just like a vanity thing. One is there is a vanity one, and there's another actual campaign. But also, I don't know if that sounds very interesting. To like carry an item around, like there's already Spearmaster. I've thought about doing expeditions as a modded character, maybe. I don't know if that works properly. Modded creature random. I would have to find like a bunch of modded creatures though. I don't know where to find those. Oh, it takes both hands and it's heavy, so it's Refraction Cell, but worse. I don't know. Well, maybe I'll find something interesting to do, but this is the end of the stream, so yeah, thanks everyone for watching. See ya.